everybody, I'm Roxy and this is Rec Me BS. So today I bring something that I haven't done in a while, which is a wrap up. I don't usually do wrap ups just because I don't usually read or record very consistently. I read a lot, but because I'm at university, I just read a little here and a little over there. However, because July was my month off, I did read quite a lot. I mean, decently. The first book I finished, and I do mean finish, the 1st of July was The Bookshop Book by Jen Campbell. And it's really a nice, cozy read and really informative. It gave me lots of places to visit while I was in London, and also like made me want to visit lots of places somewhere else. For example, the book town in Wales that I didn't know about. It has pictures and it has like fun facts and interviews with authors and interviews with customers, and it's just a really fun, great book for bookshop lovers. Well, I will say though that the research was clearly very uneven. Of course, like the English bookshops were like full of stuff, and then the ones in Australia and the ones in Asia, being that Asia has some of the most creative bookstores out there, like were barely mentioned. And so yeah, I was kind of about that, but the reading experience of this was amazing, and I want to reread it, and I want to give it a giant hug because it was so nice. So if you're looking for like something really informative, maybe this is not the book. But if you're looking for something cozy and just to remind you why you love bookshops, I think this is a book for you. Then I have Femme de Jeans by Madeleine Bordeaux. Well, I still had my cell phone in my trip. I actually did a sort of short video review of this book, and so I'm going to leave the link down below so you can check that out. This is a book by a Belgian author that wrote during last century, and she was sort of lost and rediscovered, and they're reissuing her books in these very beautiful editions, and I'm so happy about that because this was amazing. And this was a debut novel, and I was like, what about that? Because it's really solid, really concise, and it's really short, but it worked so well. It's about a woman who is obsessed with her husband in the way that she's like so devoted, and then her husband falls in love, but truly and honestly, with her sister. It's just great. Read it. I gave it like a 4 or 4.5. It wasn't like perfect, but it was really good. Then I have On What a Paradise It Seems by John Cheever. This was my first Cheever. I got this because not only was the shortest of his books, and remember that I had to make luggage allowance back home, but also because this was mentioned in one of the books that I'm going to talk about next. And yeah, I loved it. Lots of people say that this is not the best Cheever. It's not a good place to start with. I love this book. It's about many things, but it's basically surrounds a lake that is being polluted and a main character that's sort of half-heartedly trying to stop it, but also he's kind of lost, and he falls in love with a younger woman, and there are lots of things at play, and they are like interwoven in a way that I think is masterfully. I just think it's a great book, and the prose is amazing. What a marvelous way to begin anything. That's what I wrote here. Then I have The God of Carnage by Yasmina Reza, and I've mentioned her a lot because I love her play Art, and I want to read everything she's ever written because she's fabulous. And this is a play, a one-act play about two sets of parents that get together to discuss how to deal with the fact that one of the kids bit or pushed or hit the other kid, and so they start discussing, and a lot of like aspects of the character come up in this sort of social satire / commentary that Yasmina Reza really excels at. Really recommend Yasmina Reza, I really recommend Art, and I really recommend The God of Carnage. Then I finished, although I was reading it for the whole time, The Trip to Echo Spring by Olivia Lang on writers and drinking. I went to an Olivia Lang event in Bath, and it was amazing. She's such a nice, woman, and she's very insightful. And I like the way she speaks. She was there presenting her novel Crudo, which I got, but I haven't read yet. Anyways, this, as I said, is about writers and drinking, more particularly some specific American writers such as John Cheever, such as Raymond Carver, Hemingway, Fitzgerald, etc. And also her personal journey, because her mom's partner used to be an alcoholic, and she goes in a sort of pilgrimage through the US to all these places where these authors lived, and so you get half their biographies and relationship with drinking, and have like her personal travel writing. So fun to read, so engaging, but you also learn so much, and it kind of made me feel the same way Corridor did. Of course, this is a much more depressing book, and maybe if you read this book before Corridor, you are not going to be laughing very much at the high functioning alcoholic jokes that are played there, but I read them with enough spacing to really appreciate both. Anyways, any like writer lover or non-fiction lover, I think, should read this. Then I also discovered Reunion by Ullman. I don't remember his first name, I'm sorry, but the thing is, he's a painter. He was a German painting, and this is a book about two friends, one of which is Jewish and the other who's like Polish or German, but like he has Nazi family, and you see the rise of the Nazi regime, but really from like behind this friendship, like nothing is really, it's really short, so nothing is really touched upon. It only occurs as a background, but you can see how something as huge and devastating can have effects in something as like simple and pure as a real friendship, and that's really interesting. This is a heartbreaking book, and the prose here is beautiful. The ending is kind of abrupt, but then again, like, you wonder what else could you have done. I think if it sounds like something you want to read, you should check it out. Then I read Watermark by Joseph Brodsky. Joseph Brodsky is a Nobel Prize winner. I haven't read his poetry, but he does have like a lot of very famous essays, and Watermark is an essay on Venice. It's really good, although it kind of goes on tangents at times. Like when it's talking about Venice and about the aesthetic experience of Venice, it's great, but then he sort of talks about other things that are kind of neither here nor there for the essay, and I don't know. I think it's still worth the shot, especially if, like me, you love landscape writing, travel writing, and like essays in general. It wasn't perfect, still really enjoyed it. Then an essay collection, or just like a really long 5-page essay, depending on how you consider it, is Playing to the Gallery by Grayson Perry, a book that I adored. I'm fascinated by the politics of contemporary and modern art in general. Grayson Perry examines in these essays, and let me read you the titles because they are amazing, how modern and contemporary art work. And so, how much? Democracy has bad taste. This one was my favorite. Then Beating the Bounds, Nice Rebellion, Welcome In. I found myself in the art world. And the end. It's so much fun, it's so interesting, and it has this like drawings and vignettes that Grayson Perry did. And it's also really nice to have the point of view of not a critic or not an art historian, but you know, an actual artist that is working nowadays. And he talks about how like suddenly people wanted to buy his stuff, and suddenly his craft was considered art, and I think that's just fascinating. If you're interested in contemporary art and like the way galleries work, I really recommend this. My battery is about to die, so let's speed this up. I read Her Goin Chart by Vivek Champath, and this is a book translated from a dialect, I don't remember which one, and all about a family that's very tight-knit. They do everything together because they are very poor, and so they have to sort of consult each other all the time, and then suddenly they start receiving a lot of money because they started their own business and everything starts going well. Although the money itself doesn't change them, it does change the people they associate with. And with that, sort of the whole structure breaks. So you can read this in a multiple of ways, in both money broke the family and then money didn't break the family. It talks such a punch, being so short. It's really a great book. When I got it at Foyle's South Bank, the clerk said, you know, this book is great. It's one of the best books that's been published all year, and he was damn right. Then I read Michelle Faber, The Books of Strange New Things. I finished it because, if you recall, I started this for the Big Books. I don't remember the name of the readathon, but it was Simon Savage Big Books readathon. And I have mixed feelings about this book. This is about a pastor that goes to another planet to preach to the aliens there, and I thought it was going to be about that, but it's not. It's not about that really. It's about the pastor himself, his inner life, how he relates to the natives of that planet, and how his relationship with his wife sort of crumbles with this distance. And the main character is such a bore. He's such just an interesting, unappealing man to read about. And again, I'm not someone who has to like a character at all to like a book. Here, the writing was great, but the stuff that was being narrated felt like taking the easy way out in so many ways. I don't know. Would you like a bigger review? Because I can like pick it apart a bit more. I could even do like a spoiler and like with spoilers and without. I don't know. If you'd like to see that, please let me know. And the last book I read was Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall. This is all about geopolitics and how geography has been and continues to be a really important factor in history and in current politics, and it was brilliant. I learned so much. It's very introductory, so if you know a lot about like current issues and a lot about geopolitics, perhaps this is not the book for you. But because I was new to the concept and because I'm quite young, even though maybe I don't look it, I don't know, but there were lots of conflicts that are going on now that started like before my time, and because I'm from the southern hemisphere, we perhaps didn't see them in much depth, or we saw it from a very like specific perspective. And so yeah, I think it really like filled the gaps, and I feel like I need to reread it to gain more from it. But I think it's amazing. It's really readable, it's really fun, but it doesn't really underestimate the reader. I don't know, I think it hits a sweet spot in the way the information is presented, so I really recommend it. Okay, that's it. This video is humongously long. Remember to comment, what do you think of the books? Do you have opinions on any of them? Do you want to read any of them? Let me know. So see you next time. I recommend it, and that was Reunion. Thank you, because I found it at the table of recommended vintage books at Hatchards, and I really trust them, and I also read like the first pages and I thought, yes, this is a book I want to read.